Welcome back, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to another reading of A Starstruck Legacy. This will be Chapter 7. It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Here's the summary. Izuku gets 2 once-in-a-lifetime offers in the span of 5 minutes. "Hey, what's up, Prez?" Star and Stripe casually greeted as she walked into the Oval Office. "I'm sure you know why I called you here, Star," said U.S. President Danny DeVito, no relation to the actor, despite what the uncanny resemblance would have you believe. "This about the guy with the exploding fireball quirk on Trigger from this morning? He only got me in the arm." "Yes, and if what I heard is correct, a permanent order was the only thing standing between you and amputation. This country can't afford to lose you, Star." Star sheepishly scratched the back of her head. "Okay, you might have a point there. That one was a close call, even for me." "Right. I know you don't like messing around with permanent orders, but it might be beneficial to have an extra copy of your quirk on hand for emergencies." Star smiled as she scratched her chin thoughtfully. That's not a bad idea. I've always wanted a little protege of my own." "I'm glad you agree. I assume you'll be choosing one of your own squad members?" "Nope, no way, no how." Star was quick to shoot down. "Y'all know I don't play favorites with my brothers, and there's no way I'm giving them all New Order." "All right then, I'll have someone gather a list of potential candidates." As the president grabbed the phone to start making arrangements, Star's mind couldn't help but flash back to the UA Sports Festival from yesterday, her mind focusing specifically on the winner, Izuku Midoriya. Not only was he quirkless, making him the perfect blank slate, but from what she'd seen of his performance, he was smart, cunning, strategic, and had the heroic drive to win the whole sports festival with support equipment alone. If anyone could handle New Order, well, he was the first person that came to mind. "Hold up," Star commanded, and the president hung up his phone. "I think I know who to give my quirk to." "Please don't tell me they're from Japan," the president groaned. "You know me so well," Star cheered as she ran out of the office. "I'd fire you if I could." "Thank you for allowing me into your home on such short notice," said Yagi Toshinori as he sipped his tea. "No problem, Mr. Yagi," Izuku smiled. "I mean, it's not every day All Might's secretary wants to meet with me." "Indeed. I wanted to congratulate you on your recent win at the sports festival. All Might told me he looks forward to seeing you in his heroics class." Izuku blushed at the praise. "He really said that? I know he hugged me when he handed me the medal on the podium, but I thought that was just a formality." "It was, but he was still very impressed by your performance. In fact, we both wanted to know more about your heroic drive and why you want to be a hero." "Why do I want to be a hero? That's easy. I always wanted to be like All Might, the kind of person who saves people with a smile on their face and inspires them to do better." Izuku noticed Toshinori's smile at his answer. "A very noble goal, and I have no doubt you'll be able to achieve it on your own. However, I would like to make an offer with you." Izuku gasped. "An offer? Like an internship? At All Might Tower?" "Even greater than that, young Midoriya." Toshinori's smile quickly morphed into a serious look. "But first, what I'm about to show you must remain secret. Can I trust you to tell no one?" "Of course." "Very well then. Please try not to freak out about what I'm about to show you." Toshinori got out of his chair and slowly puffed up into his muscle form. "Do not despair, for I am here." Thankfully, All Might was able to catch Izuku before he fainted. "All Might, could you slap me across the face? I think I'm dreaming," Izuku said tiredly. "This is not a dream, young Midoriya. I am the real All Might, standing in your kitchen." After pinching himself to double-check, Izuku shot up like a bullet and yelled, "Toshinori Yagi is All Might? This is the craziest thing I've ever—" All Might smacked a hand over Izuku's mouth. "I know you're shocked, but you promised to keep it a secret. I can tell these walls aren't too thick." "Sorry," Izuku said as All Might removed his hand. "It's just, there were people on the hero forums who had this exact same theory, and they got written off as crack conspiracy theorists." All Might unleashed a booming laugh before puffing back down into his smaller form. "I'm sure you're wondering how this relates to you and my mention of an offer." Izuku just nodded. Toshinori lifted his shirt, revealing a particularly nasty scar. "It all begins with a villain I faced several years ago." One explanation about One for All later. "Wait, you're not sure if this All for One person is dead or not?" "Well, no," Toshinori embarrassingly admitted. Several weeks ago, there was an attack on the USJ, during which I faced a villain who was said to have multiple quirks. A DNA analysis proved that statement to be true. But do not worry, young Midoriya. If you were to inherit my quirk, I promise I shall stop at nothing to ensure you would never have to fight him. I certainly believe you on that front, All Might. Toshinori then buffed up to give extra gravitas to his words. So what do you say, young Midoriya? Would you like to become the 9th wielder of One for All? Izuku beamed at the opportunity. He was about to say yes when he was interrupted by a knock at the door. Who is it? Izuku asked. Star and Stripe, answered a voice that sounded very much like Star and Stripe. Izuku turned to All Might, who just shrugged. Come in? Thanks, kid. Sorry for coming in unannounced. I just wanted to... Star paused as she noticed the All Might-sized elephant in the room. That's a pretty realistic All Might statue you got there. I got one just like it back home. Greetings, young Kathleen. What a pleasant surprise, waved All Might, who was very much not a statue. Star paused for a moment before calmly asking, Kid, why is All Might in your house? I could ask you the same thing, young Kathleen. I was impressed by Midoriya's performance at the sports festival and wanted to offer him a copy of my quirk, Star answered flatly. Izuku's eyes widened in surprise. Wait, seriously? For real life? For real life? Izuku's shock quickly turned into awkwardness as he nervously shuffled in place. Well, this is kind of awkward. Why's that? Is All Might giving you his quirk too? Star jokingly asked. All Might and Izuku nervously glanced at each other before All Might cleared his throat and spoke up. You hit the nail right on the head, young Kathleen. In hindsight, I probably should have told you sooner, considering you were once my protege, but better late than never, I suppose. Another explanation about One for All later. Again, I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, Toshinori apologized. Don't worry about it, Star brushed off. You're entitled to your secrets, and I'm entitled to mine. I'm glad you understand, Toshinori nodded. But I still wish you did tell me. That way, I could have tried to use New Order to heal your injury. Toshinori paused at that. You know what? You're right. I wish I had thought of that sooner. Well, no time like the present. Star patted Toshinori on the shoulder and said, Toshinori Yagi's injury will heal. No! New Order blared in her head. Well, dang. Looks like your injury's too rough for New Order to heal it. Izuku perked up at that and began scribbling in his notebook. Star's quirk is called New Order, and it has limits. But how do these limits apply to other situations? You could find out yourself if you take it, Star added. Right, Toshinori mumbled. Now that everything is explained, there still is the question of which quirk young Midoriya will choose to inherit. Yeah, Izuku muttered as he paced back and forth. I don't know how I'm gonna choose. On one hand, to have All Might's power and become the next symbol of peace is an opportunity I never could have dreamed of. On the other hand, Star's quirk can basically do anything. I'd be an idiot to pass that up. I wish I could just choose both. I mean, what's stopping ya? Star suggested. Izuku turned to Star with a confused look on his face. Huh? She has a point, young Midoriya, Toshinori continued. One for All enhances any other quirk the holder possesses. New Order would be an invaluable tool to add to your arsenal. Plus, I can use one of my orders to give me All Might level strength anyways. If you already have it, that leaves you with a free order, Star brought up. You're both okay with this? Izuku asked in disbelief. Sure, kid. Why not? As long as you are, young Midoriya. Izuku couldn't help the smile that appeared on his face. Sure, he would never neglect his support gear, but to inherit the quirks of two #1 heroes? Forget a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This was a once-in-a-million lifetimes opportunity, and Izuku was never one to turn down an opportunity. All right, let's do it. 2 #1 hero quirks. Ooh, I'm so excited. Not so fast, young Midoriya, Toshinori interrupted. If you don't have enough muscle mass when you begin using my quirk, your arms and legs will shoot right off. To safely inherit my quirk will require months of training, diligence, and... Or you could just use New Order to not break yourself when you use One for All, Star butted in. Izuku pointed at the heroine. I like her idea better. Toshinori let out an awkward cough. Well, all right. That works too. I'll go first, then. Okay, how does the transfer work? Is it something you just will into being? No, that's my quirk, Star said. It's much more simple than that, my boy. Toshinori puffed up again and offered Izuku a hair. Eat this! Izuku just stared at that hair in a shocked silence. Meanwhile, Star had doubled over laughing. All Might, why would you say it like that? In order to obtain my quirk, young Midoriya has to ingest my DNA, All Might explained. Izuku shriveled up in disgust, but took the hair anyways. Well, if you say so. He poured himself a glass of water to help him force down the hair. It was just as revolting as he thought it would be. Okay, do I have the power now? Not exactly. It'll take a few hours to digest. I have a better idea, Star said as she slapped Izuku on the back. Izuku Midoriya has increased digestion speed. Oh, I feel it! Izuku shouted almost instantly. He stared at his hands as he clenched and unclenched his fists. I feel some kind of buzzing beneath my skin, like this power is just begging to be used. Well, don't do that until I give you mine. That is, unless you don't like having limbs. Izuku shook his head. I don't think One for All would work through robot arms. I think I'm ready for your quirk, Star. Great! She casually placed a hand on his shoulder. When Izuku Midoriya wakes up, he will have new order. Quick question, Toshinori piped up. I'm aware of how your quirk works, and I'm unsure as to what will happen when you revoke that order. Won't he lose his copy of New Order? Very simple, All Might. It's all about wording, Star clarified. For example, if I said, this person's bone is healed, their bone would go right back to being broken the moment I revoke the order. But if I said, this person's bone will heal, the bone would remain unbroken even after I revoke the order. Star spared a glance at Izuku, who was fervently jotting all this information down. Proactive. That's a good trait for a hero to have. Izuku blushed at the praise. He was aware he should probably stop making such a big deal over simple compliments. But let's not waste any time here. How do you want to get knocked out, kid? Quickly and painlessly, if possible, Izuku answered. Say no more! Star chopped him on the back of the neck, sending his unconscious body sprawling onto the couch. Was that necessary, young Kathleen? Toshinori asked incredulously. Star shrugged. Hey, he said quickly. Happy Quirk Day to you, sang 5 unfamiliar, ghost-like figures. Ah! Who are you people? Where am I? Izuku scrambled backwards at the sight of 5 people he didn't recognize. He didn't know why they were holding a cake, nor why they were all standing in a black void, but that only made him more frightened. A man with white hair and green eyes sighed. I told you that wouldn't work, 7th. A woman in a black bodysuit and a white cape held her arms up defensively. Hey, I just wanted to make him feel welcome. Besides, 4th was off-key. It's true. I can only sing 1 note, nodded a tall man with a scar running down his face. I think we needed more decorations, commented a man with short black hair and a blue jacket. It was blue, not red. This is probably the last place I'd want my Quirk Day party being held. You just have the wrong mindset, huffed a bulky man with a square jaw and round, hairless head. I think black is a great color. Guys, the white-haired man stressed, we can talk about interior design later. Did you forget about the new successor? He gestured towards Izuku, who perked up at the last word he said. Wait, successor? Does that mean... Yep, we're the past holders of One for All, said the caped woman. I'm Nana Shimura, the 7th holder. I was Toshi's predecessor. I'm Yoichi Shigaraki. I was the first, greeted the white-haired man. You can call me Diagoro Banjo. I was number 5, shouted the bald man. They call me N. I was the 6th, greeted the black-haired man. Hikaguro Shidomori, number 4, said the scarred man. Hey, aren't we missing a few? Izuku asked. They're right over there. Nana pointed to 2 people facing a wall like they were children in timeout. The guy with the red hair is Kudo. He's the 2nd. The guy with the ponytail is Bruce. He's the 3rd. Don't mind them, En chimed in. They're just mad because 8th's choice of successor wasn't a child soldier hell-bent on murder. Hold on, Izuku interrupted. You never told me where I am, or why I can see you. Did this happen to All Might? It didn't. Yoichi shook his head. You can communicate with us because One for All has reached singularity. This wasn't supposed to happen for a few more months, but The addition of New Order to the mix-up sped up the process significantly. We also think that's why you can fully project yourself into the vestige realm. Kathleen's quirk is just that powerful. You're totally OP, man, Banjo added. Is that her and All Might over there? Izuku pointed at the two wispy yellow figures in the shape of Toshinori and Kathleen. Yeah, they won't fully manifest here until they're dead, though we're not exactly looking forward to that day. Though it would be nice to have another girl around here, Nana mused to herself. This is a lot of information to take in, Izuku admitted. Too bad, here's some more, Banjo yelled. With Singularity reached, you'll be getting all our quirks. We're talking Black Whip, Float, Smokescreen, Black Whip, Danger Sense, Fajin, Black Whip, Gear Shift. Did I mention Black Whip? No, I don't think you did. Please repeat, N answered sarcastically. We are not giving that kid our quirks, Kuda grumbled from his spot at the wall. We'll see what New Order has to say about that. Nana smirked as she shifted her focus to Izuku. That's all we have to say. Right now, you've got to wake up. Okay, but, how do I do that? The same way you wake up from most dreams, En said as he reached behind his back and pulled out a bazooka the size of his entire body. By dying. Oh, no. Ah, I'm awake, Izuku yelled as he shot up off the couch. How long was I out? About 15 minutes, give or take, Star asked as she eyed her non-existent watch. But now that you're up, congrats, you've got two of the greatest quirks ever made. Thanks, but before I try them out, I have to let you guys know that One for All is haunted by its past users, and I'll be getting their quirks. Oh, tell them I said hi, Izuku heard Nana's voice request. Also, Nana says hi, and I guess I can hear them in my head now. Tell them I said hi too, Banjo requested. Banjo says hi too. At the mention of his successor communicating with the ghost of his old master, Toshinori reacted in the same way any normal human would, and violently spewed blood from his mouth. Good to know, kid, Star said as she handed Toshinori a napkin. But now it's time to test the limits of New Order. Or would it be Newer Order? Let's just stick with New Order. Very well. Toshinori wiped the last of the blood from his chin. I believe that the first order of business is to make sure you can handle the full force of One for All. All right, Izuku nodded. But, how exactly do I activate New Order? Two pairs of eyes locked onto Star, who gave a half shrug. I don't know. I just say things with great authority, and it happens. Authority, huh? Let's give it a shot. I can use 100% of One for All without drawbacks. After a few seconds of silence, Izuku spoke up. Did it work? I don't feel any different. I don't think so. Star shook her head. Your words weren't bold. Like, this isn't a fourth wall break or anything. It's just that you didn't speak in a bold enough tone. I don't think I understand. What I'm saying is you gotta believe in the words you say. You're not just making yourself stronger. You are stronger. Reality is just a suggestion. The only thing stopping you is yourself. Izuku took a few moments to let those words sink in before clenching his fists and nodding determinedly. Okay, I'm gonna try again. He took a deep breath as he prepared to call upon his new quirk. I can use all of One for All's power without any drawbacks. At those words, Izuku felt his entire inner physiology shift. He didn't feel stronger per se, but he felt firmer, more put together, like there was some sort of brace covering his entire being. I think it worked. There's only one way to find out, said Toshinori. Oh, why are we in the middle of nowhere? Actually, we're 25 miles from the middle of nowhere, young Midoriya, Toshinori clarified as he pointed to a house and windmill in the distance. And we're here to test the full brunt of One for All without risk of collateral damage. Sounds good, Izuku nodded. But how exactly do I activate One for All? It's very simple, my boy. All you have to do is clench your butt cheeks, reach into the depths of your heart, and yell, SMASH! Izuku stared at Toshinori with a deadpan look on his face. All Might, I can hear the past predecessors in my head, and they're all laughing hysterically at what you just said. Toshinori paled in embarrassment. Well, it worked for me. Also, Star's trying to hold in her laughter. Toshinori turned to glare at Star, who was biting her lip as her cheeks puffed out. I'm not laughing. In fact, I'm unable to laugh. Her expression immediately shifted back to normal. Don't worry about it, All Might. Izuku patted his teacher on the shoulder. The vestiges already told me how to do it right. With that, Izuku focused on channeling as much of One For All's power through his body as he could, which was all of it. Slowly, his hair glowed bright green and stood up on its ends, green lightning crackling around his body, and his pupils grew into a pair of viridian stars. Before you do anything, young Midoriya, Toshinori warned, just let young Kathleen and I get out of the splash zone. Izuku's two mentors hopped into Toshinori's truck and zoomed off. After a few minutes, they were entirely out of sight. Just then, Izuku got a call on his phone from Toshinori. All right, we should be safe now. Try punching the ground, he instructed. Okay, here goes nothing. As Izuku pulled back his fist, he felt the air pressure drop, and the ground began to shake. It was as if the earth itself was preemptively reacting to the boy's strike. With a yell of, "Smash!" Izuku's fist met the ground, and he felt the full force of an earthquake beneath his feet. A crater the size of a small village immediately formed. Huge chunks of stone flew up from the ground and quickly rained back down to earth. Izuku, still surprised about how hard he punched, accidentally let one of the boulders land on him, though, strangely enough, he didn't feel a thing. Staring at the spot he had just punched, Izuku noticed he formed a deep, dark hole the size of his fist. He couldn't see the bottom, but he had a striking suspicion that it went at least halfway to the center of the earth. How did that feel, kid? Star asked as the truck pulled up to his spot. Izuku stared at his hand in wonder as he watched the green lightning dance around his fingers. I didn't feel anything. Like, no muscle strain to speak of. Also, I got hit by a boulder and barely flinched. That makes sense, Toshinori said. Great strength often comes with great durability. During my prime, I was able to tank even the deadliest of explosions. I'm sure you'll be able to withstand much deadlier. But don't you go using that as an excuse to throw yourself into danger, Star pointed out. You know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben said that and he's dead, Izuku rebutted. Dang, you're right, Star grumbled before changing the subject. But now that you know the limits of One For All, why don't you try some experimentation with newer order? Maybe you should be able to hold more than 2 orders at once. Let's see here, I already have one active, and I don't plan on turning it off anytime soon, so let's try a new one. My hair is purple, my shoes are blue, and my shirt is pink. Izuku's hair and shoes changed color, but his shirt didn't. Okay then, looks like I get 3 orders. How about the limits? Try healing All Might's injury. Good idea, kid. Izuku revoked his color-changing orders and placed a hand on Toshinori's shoulder. All Might's injuries will heal. That won't work, kid. You have to use his real name, or at least the name he associates with himself. Toshinori Yagi's injury will heal, he corrected. No. New order blared in his head. No, still doesn't work, Izuku shamefully admitted. Star yanked her hair in frustration. Seriously? How badly did that guy mess you up, All Might? Very badly. I am missing several vital organs, including my stomach, lungs, and kidneys. Recovery Girl says I'm only alive at this point because Satan holds a personal grudge against her. Well, maybe we can fix that. The organ part, not the Satan part. Recovery Girl will have to deal with that on her own. Izuku patted Toshinori on the shoulder and said, Toshinori Yagi's missing organs will regenerate. Instantly, Toshinori's skin regained color, and he loudly inhaled a deep breath. Oh my! I can finally breathe again! He squeezed the right side of his body, and while he still felt the familiar cracks, he also felt a kidney and a stomach. An empty stomach, that is. That's great, All Might, Star exclaimed. What are you going to do now? Toshinori couldn't even register her question over the sound of his newfound hunger. 15 seconds later, at the Midoriya household, All Might, stop! This is your 48th Big Mac! I'll stop when I'm dead, Toshinori proclaimed as he shoved another burger down his gullet. You can't die yet! You're the symbol of peace! Izuku pleaded. Oh, peace can go blast itself! I haven't had a burger in 7 years! The least you could do is chew, Star yelled as she tried to pull Toshinori away from the pile of McDonald's bags. For a skinny guy, he sure had a good grip. Just one more! You said that 8 McFlurries ago! Suddenly, the trio heard the sound of an unlocking door and froze in place. After a moment, Izuku's mother casually entered the apartment. Izuku, I'm home. I'll get started on dinner as soon as... She paused when she took in notice of the sight in front of her. Izuku, she said calmly, why are you and #1 American pro hero Star and Stripe trying to pull a skinny man away from a comically large pile of McDonald's food? Well, it's kinda... Izuku stalled for an answer as he glanced over to Toshinori, looking for assistance. He just shrugged. Izuku sighed as he decided to bite the bullet. Mom, there's a very simple explanation for all of this. One explanation about One for All and New Order later. Izuku, that was not a very simple explanation. In fact, it took about 20 minutes. Inko deadpanned. Sorry. Izuku wilted in his seat. I'm not angry, sweetie, just a little overwhelmed by this situation. It is a lot to take in, but I guess that comes with the territory of dealing with 2 ultra-powerful quirks. Yes, and while we're on this topic, she turned to Toshinori and Star and bowed. Thank you for giving my son this opportunity. While I wish it didn't come with an immortal nemesis, I trust you'll both do your best to keep my son safe if you value all the small parts in your body. Toshinori had to bite down a nervous gulp. No thanks are necessary, Mrs. Midoriya. It's Miss, actually. Izuku couldn't help but notice Star perk up at that. I agree with All Might, she continued. Your son would have been a fine hero with or without a quirk. If anything, he's doing both of us a great service by acting as our successors, Toshinori smiled. Aw, thanks guys, Izuku said as happy tears pricked at his eyes. Inko clapped her hands together. Well, since you both came all this way, it would be rude of me not to have you for dinner. I could eat, Toshinori stated. Of course you can, Star sighed. But I thank you for your hospitality, Miss Midoriya. Oh, you can both call me Inko if you want. You'll both be training my son, after all. I'm sure we'll see quite a lot of each other. As Inko turned and made her way into the kitchen, eager to start on dinner, Star subtly leaned in close to Izuku and said, Your mom's hot. Now, upon hearing the #1 American pro hero's direct display of attraction to his mother, Izuku had a multitude of choices for how he could react. Which of the following do you think he'd choose? Is it A. Disgust that someone he admired and respected called his mom hot to his face? B. Intrigue that Star and Stripe had a type, and her type was apparently his mom? C. Skepticism born out of protectiveness for his mother, who had been, metaphorically, burned when the last person she loved walked out on them after the quirkless diagnosis? Or D. Eagerness over the possibility of having a pro hero for a mom? Got your answer in? Good. Let's see if you were right. Go for it, Izuku eagerly encouraged Star, accompanied by a slap on the back. If your answer was D, then congratulations, you were correct. And that's the end of Chapter 7. This is such a funny chapter. I especially love the ending there. Like, Star is just like, I want to go out with your mom, Izuku. And Izuku's just like, that sounds like a great idea. Like, I love the crack ships and just how really fast they progress in this series, this story. Like, that's my favorite thing. Best kind of romance. Just a crack ship that makes no sense and just happens really fast. Love that. Also, I noticed that a little throwaway line that getting both of their quirks is a once in a million lifetimes opportunity. I was just thinking, that's not really too inaccurate, because there are like 300,000 to 400,000 My Hero Academia fics just on AO3, not to mention the other fanfiction sites. So like maybe even 1 million in total if you're counting all the ones people never published. And how many of those does Izuku Midoriya get both One for All and New Order? 1 in 1 million is actually a pretty good estimate there, I think. So that was nice. Even if that wasn't what was intended, I did think it was funny anyways. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening to this chapter. Hope you come back later for chapter 8. See y'all then. Thank you so much for listening. Patch out.